So welcome if you're joining me on Zoom, if you trickle in on Zoom live at some point, or if you're joining from socials, because yes, I'm that techie. We are broadcasting live. I'm Jane Bellis, if you don't already know me. And why on earth not? Because I've been spamming the socials something rotten lately. And this session is part of Mojo School's Freshers Week, and it's my turn today. And the topic is all about Next Gen. It's about our young people. So I officially incite this meeting to rebellion. I've even got my cup, thanks Jess, that says that on. Interesting tactic when we're talking about next gen and kind of the lens of education, which is my big passion at the moment, has been for many years. But all will become apparent as we make our way through the next hour. And you can, of course, I think the replay is going to be available from the live anyway, from socials, and we'll keep sharing it if you miss it live. But inside the digital walls of Mojo School, you will be able to catch it at any point on the replay in our Freshers Week. So I'm going to encourage everybody, if you aren't already on there, get yourself on our Freshers Week, because there's loads of really cool content and it's free. And it gives you a bit of an insight into some of the work I've been doing and what's been created. And there are elements on there that will always be free. Just tools and a supportive community that you can dip in and out of any time you want without any pressure. So I'll share the link in the comments anyway. I've got 3 different links to share today, so I'll be sharing that one after I get off this session. And yes, the journey to Mojo School. So a lot of you all already know this story, so I'm going to keep it very brief, but I spent many years working out in the field in various spaces. The superpower seems to be reaching the unreachable and teaching the unteachable. I've done lots and lots of work, from classrooms to boardrooms, from work commissioned by health authorities, schools, businesses, all kinds of different spaces and places, working with all kinds of different people. And one of my biggest passions, and has been for the last 10 years, has been working with young people. So tonight is all about the topic of young people, how we learn, how we thrive, how we grow. I'll be explaining through some of the content that I put together, because we've got a really exciting launch that's going to be at the end of this hour, a specific toolkit for younger people. So if you are aged between, I'd say, the ages of 14, 15 and 25, this particular piece of work is aimed at you. Those like tricky teen years sort of 10, 11 onwards into college and all the transitions there, and into uni and that kind of thing. So that's what I've created specifically. But as it's been tested, and we've had quite a few testers on this, I've had lots of people, I've had educators and parents and different people having a look at it. And lots of people have said, actually, the content's great for any age. I'm going to share some videos with you anyway, so you'll be able to see what you think. But it's a really useful toolkit for absolutely anybody. But it's got cool manga stuff in there, and it's really nice, and like a lot of the videos are like reels, so it's easy to use with your thumbs and scroll along. So that's what it's designed for. And the reason that it is so important, and this particular group is really important to me, because I'm an educator and I've worked out in the field for so long in isolation rooms and in projects for things like county lines and child sexual exploitation and all the really difficult things. And I've worked with really traumatized young people for a number of years now. And there seems to be a common thread. And that common thread leads its way right the way through to the whole education system, which, if you heard about our event that we had recently in North East Wales at Halkin Castle Wood, we did a whole event around this topic, around the topic of reimagining education, because we're all recognizing now, whether it's young people, parents or teachers, are recognizing that things have got to change, and they've got to change really quickly, because there's such a lot of harm being done, from all angles. And we have kind of a duty to do that, right? We have a duty. And for me, I became really jaded with sticking plasters over big gaping wounds and working with people from right the way up to in their 60s and 70s. And we're trying to rewire and uninstall some of these toxic, harmful programs that are built in those formative years. So I'm so passionate about getting as early possible intervention. And Andrew was on yesterday doing some brilliant work around Mojo for Families, a whole program, a whole curriculum that we've got, supporting parents with little ones right the way from tiny tots all the way through primary school. And we're busy putting together some really good teacher training resources for our stuff as well, lesson plans and schemes of work and all that kind of stuff. So we're covering those bases, and my particular expertise is covering that next level, those really tricky, angsty stages. So my work's been informed by my role as a coach and as a practitioner. I have worked with two incredible neuroscientists over the last 10 years to build in some of my tools and my content. I am trained and qualified in several psychotherapy techniques, and I've been out doing lots of various trauma-informed therapeutic interventions for years and years and years. And we've now kind of packaged them up into this beautiful space where anybody can access them. You can all access them. So with this being the topic of our next generation, and with me having this lens and this filter of education and learning, so regardless of whether you're a young person or a teacher or a parent, this will make sense, I'm sure, to you. And I spotted it. It's the first thing I'm going to read out to you. I spotted it on my socials, and I'm really gutted that I couldn't get the credit for this. I don't know who to credit in for these wise words, but it's someone very, very wise in the alternative education provision field. So I'm going to start off by just reading this out just to see if you have any thoughts on it. And feel free to stick something in the chat if you want to, in the comments if you're on socials, whether this resonates or not. You can flip an emoji in there or a word. But half the jobs our kids dream about won't exist in 10 years. Sobering, scary thought, right, when we think about what we're teaching at the moment and the old systems that we're working from and the old philosophies. Skills are expiring faster than we can even learn them. The old model of a career for life doesn't exist anymore. Job roles, trades, and even industries are gone by the time our kids grow up. So instead of preparing them for a world that no longer exists, we need to prepare them for a world that never stops changing. The greatest strengths won't be test scores or memorizations. It'll be adaptability, creativity, and resilience. Because the world isn't slowing down for them, and neither can we. How cool is that? I thought that was just brilliant words. So I'm kind of really wishing I could credit the person in, and I'm going to research to see if I can find out who it was. But I just thought that would be a little opener to give you some food for thought about why are young people are experiencing so many challenges and difficulties at the moment, and why we're struggling as educators and parents to manage that and to support that, because the world is so different. The world is completely different, and it's changing all the time. And we've covered this on one of our podcasts a while ago. I think it was me, Lindy, you and Jess, about how university, even at uni, studying psychology a couple of years ago, the stuff that you were learning was already outdated and not applicable in the field. And we know this, but we also know that the structure is there and the system's really difficult to change. However, we're working on some really cool stuff in the background to help that change. And we've had some amazing podcast episodes, brilliant speakers, and we have this whole project under the surface, bubbling away, building in resources to help people manage and change, even within the classrooms as they currently are, how you can kind of take that trauma-informed, neuro-aware lens and put some practical applications in. And one of them is through our Next Gen toolkit. And I actually titled it Teen. So the word teen is in there, and I've said some of the videos it says teen, but I think we're going to do a little bit of switching around on that over the next few weeks, because so many people that have been testing it out for me that have been up to age 25, I've got a few people of age 22, 23, have said actually it's absolutely brilliant for my age group, and they've suggested that we kind of remove the word teen because it's useful. And I've been looking back over it thinking, actually, this is great for me, the way I learn as well. So I think it's going to be a bit more of a universal toolkit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do a bit of a screen share. Now, let's see. The pressure's on because Angela was so good at this yesterday. Who knows if I'm going to be able to manage it. But I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to show you something called the trauma iceberg. If you're an educator and you've done your trauma training, you'll probably have a version of this, so you'll be aware of it. If you're not, if you are a young person experiencing some stuff at the moment, if you're a parent, if you're an educator, a teacher, it's a really cool resource that I thought I'm going to share to start it off, to get you thinking about what our younger generation are experiencing at the moment. So let's see how good I am. Okay, let's see. Da, 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 da. Can you see? Give me a thumbs up, Ange, because I can see you. Yay! We don't get too excited because I'm going to share a video in a minute, and if it doesn't share the audio, then I'm going to have trouble. So this is my version. So thinking of what we know about really difficult experiences, what we would normally classify as trauma. the top of the iceberg is obviously really relevant. We know that. We know that big things, and especially if you're a young person watching this back and you think my stuff isn't important, or gosh, so and so's been through something really big and more, and I shouldn't be feeling anxious, I shouldn't be feeling depressed, my life's great. It's really important to make that distinction. And if you're a parent, or if you are, managing somehow, kudos to you, if you're managing a classroom of 30 young people, this is a really important consideration to make. So we know things like abuse and neglect and grief and serious illness and war and displacement and natural disasters and all these kind of things are, and violence and sexual abuse and all the big things that we understand as being trauma, because the word's bandied around all the time, isn't it? Are obviously key events in a young person's life, right? In any of our lives. However, if you look at the bottom of the iceberg, the little t trauma is what I specialize in and what I teach a lot in a lot of different spaces. And I cannot tell you the impact stacked up over multiple years and multiple experiences. A lot of the work I do with older people, and when I say older people, I'm kind of thinking my age group, but certainly older, maybe up into 50s, 60s. When I'm doing some real deep trauma work, if we tend to be unpicking layers and layers and layers and layers of this little t stuff. So it's so important for us to focus on and think about in our own lives and in the people that are around us. Because if something big's happened to you, you know about it, and quite often your family know about it, but these things get lost. So if you think about things like, especially for young people who have neurospicy brains, the classroom isn't set up, the education system isn't set up to get the best out of you. So things like being labelled difficult, having that label attached to you your whole life, being difficult, being stupid, that's massive, absolutely massive. I do a lot of work on that. Dealing with chronic pain, trying to deal and work through the day in chronic pain, shame, unpredictability, lack of routine, being made to feel invisible or unheard, displacement, discrimination, feeling disempowered. The acute pressure to perform is massive, chronic stress, social exclusion, bullying. There's all kinds of little t traumas that are going on every single day in families and in classrooms and in communities up and down the country, if not all over the world. And we underestimate the power that these little t traumas have on the way we behave, on the way we think, the way we feel, the way we behave, the way we show up in our futures, the careers that we have, the relationships that we build, our partners, our children, the way we parent. It has a knock-on effect forever. So this is why, for me, it's so crucially important to start getting it right earlier on, and to start having these open conversations and these kind of discussions, and making sure we're really open and honest and authentic about it in our families and in our classrooms. So I thought that was a good resource to share, and you'll find it in the toolkit that we're building for educators at the moment. It's in there, so it's a good one to share. So I'm going to just talk to you a second. I'm going to stop screen sharing for a second because I have something else to share in a minute. And I'm going to just talk you through really quickly some of the things that you can find in the Next Gen Reset that is launching today. Some of the things that you'll be able to find, because the topics we cover are, in my opinion, all the things that aren't being covered in school. And they're the topics that parents find really difficult to cover with young people, but they're the things that are so vitally important for us to start focusing on. So I thought, well, I have all these tools and resources from everything I've done working out in the field, dealing with very difficult topics. Why don't I just stick them in a toolkit and make them really accessible, right? So let me read down. So we're going to do a little activity shortly. I'm going to teach you the first thing that we do inside the Next Gen course, because it's a really cool tool. Some of you have done it before, I know, and you're going to love it because I'm going to get you to do it again. It is a universal tool that I use absolutely everywhere, and it is such an amazing tool to be able to communicate and articulate. It transcends language. It transcends lots of barriers when it comes to people feeling triggered or defensive. You can have brilliant communication conversations from it. So that's always the first thing that anyone does when they come into Mojo School. And we're going to do it in about 5 minutes. We're going to have a look at it. But that's the first thing in Next Gen. It's brilliant. It'll do it. It's like a self-assessment, but really cool and creative. So we have loads of things like that. Then we move on to some real deep things. So we look at some neuroscience, and there's some really cool little snippet videos around the brain-body connection, the animals in your brain. We look at some myths. We look at a fixed versus growth mindset. There's power hacks to tame anxiety and thought reframing exercises. There's those little quizzes in there. We've got stuff on boundaries and consent and some workshop activities on that. We've got 10-minute self-care tips. We have got the body is your barometer and a really youth-friendly body scan, really quick, simple one. We have got ideas of how to move your body to get things shifting through. We've got sleep hygiene and a sleep tracker. We've got digital detox challenge. We have got a simple nutrition guide for young people. We've got harm reduction guide, which a lot of people really struggle to talk about. We've got things like if you can feel it, you can heal it, looking at emotional intelligence and emotional literacy. Create your own avatar, which I actually really like. I developed it for the younger people because everything's kind of that kind of style. But I really enjoyed doing mine. So create your own avatar, and then it really helps with processing if you can remove yourself from the equation and think of it as a separate person. Loads of cool stuff we can do around that. A little ebook on the art and science of emotional release, some safe venting strategies. There's things on values and vision boards and what makes you you. Similar, Ange, to your superpowers for the young kids, is bringing that up into the teenager, the young adult version. Healthy relationships, boundaries, green flags, red flags, navigating today's world, which I'm going to show you a little video of shortly. And then we move on to the hero's quest, the kind of moving on to the next part of their journey once they've done all this work and built their toolkit. And we look at really powerful gratitude stuff and a little simple gratitude challenge, which is easier and age appropriate than some of the other stuff that we've got. So there's just so much cool stuff in that course. That's just a whistle-stop tour of some of the stuff that's inside it. But it's so handy, so useful if you are someone who's working with or supporting a young person. Just having that in your armory and in your toolkit to pull out and be able to share it's mega, absolutely mega. And because Mojo School's an app, it's really cool to be able to get the app on your teenager or your young person's phone or device, and it's there for them. And of course, you've got that content to be able to help with your own self-development as well. Classroom wise, it's great to be able to use in the classroom. We're just working on lesson plans now and schemes of work to be able to deliver it. So if that's something that's on your radar, you can get in touch and let us know. And if you're a young person, the app is really cool. You can download it for free, and we're going to put the link to Freshers Week anyway, but get on there because we have this supportive community that you're going to be able to reach out and get some help with. And there's tools on there regardless of what you're going through. Yeah, so I'm really excited to get this show on the road and get launched tonight. So would you like to see a little video if I can screen share it? And you haven't seen this, I don't think, and you haven't seen it, Lindy. My powers of animation, brilliant. This is just the intro video to let you know a little bit more about how it looks and the kind of vibe for it. So I'm going to attempt, I don't know how well I'm going to do with this because I need to find it first. Give us a sec. I'm going to attempt. Okay, let's see. Let's see if I can get it right. I've got to make sure I share the audio as well because I made a mistake with this last time and got it wrong. Share sound, yes, please. I'd like to do that. Ooh, hang on a minute. Do I just share? Don't know how this is going to work because it's not giving me the right screen to share. However, oh, yes, it is. Oh, yes. Okay, let's see if this works. May the odds be ever in my favor. Can you see a black screen, Angela, with a play button on it? Well, I'm going to make it big and I'm going to hope that the sound shares. If it doesn't, it's only a minute long, so just amuse yourself.
Life as a teenager in 2025. It's a lot. School, socials, big feelings, non-stop pressure. Sometimes it's just a lot. You're not alone. That's why we made Next Gen Mojo, the Teen Reset. It's your ultimate teen survival toolkit. 6 fast interactive modules, real talk, no waffle, tools for your mind, body, emotions and soul. Plus creative challenges, quizzes and anime-inspired vibes. Your journey, your rules. It's time for you to own your story. Ready to unlock your mojo and be the main character in your own life? Join us and start your reset today.
Guess whose voice that is? That's right, it's me. So that's the little that's a little intro that's going to be coming out on socials. And when you look at the landing page for the course, that's what's on there. And there's a tick list of what you can find in there and all that kind of stuff. And then the price is on there. And I've got a special code at the end of this video, so you can get it even cheaper. That it already is reduced, but you can get it even cheaper. And there's a way that you can get it for free as well. So you got to stay tuned for that. There is something else that I would like to share. So I'm going to just get rid of that one, and I'm going to share another one. Hopefully you're kind of seeing now how it's little bite size, simple. I've lost my page there. That's a bit annoying. Bite size, simple kind of reel vibe. So it's like little 90 seconds, sometimes 2 minutes, feels like reels. So yeah, I'm kind of looking for that kind of vibe, because I know young people, that's, meet people where they're at, and we're always doom scrolling, aren't we? Scrolling along. Right, there's another little video that I want to share, which is kind of an introduction to the activity that we're going to do. And I'm just still excited about all the videos, so you have to bear with me, because I'm just going to be playing them all to you. Where is it? I'm going to just find it. Just talk amongst yourselves for a second. Had it all set up ready as well. Right. Where are you? Found it. Right, now I've got to share now, haven't I? Now I found it. Share. Share sound. Yes, correct. Right, I'm going to share the little course intro, and that's going to lead us nicely into a little wee activity that we can do together. Let's have a look at this one, okay?
Hey! Welcome to Next Gen Mojo, the teen reset. This is your space, your pace, and your journey. No grades, no pressure, just real talk and real tools for whatever you're facing right now. Basecamp Lite is where we start. It's a no-nonsense version of our full Basecamp course. Think of it as your safe zone. We'll do a quick vibe check, map out where you're at, and get curious about what you need. You can be as honest or as private as you want. This is just for you. You'll pick 3 words to describe where you're at right now, try a quick self-check quiz, and start building your own territory map. No right or wrong answers, just a chance to get real about how you're feeling and what matters most to you. Ready to get started? Let's unlock your mojo and see where this journey takes you. You've got this.
So that's the kind of thing, once someone's inside the system, it's just really gentle. Here's Lucy Parker. Let me admit Lucy Parker. Thanks, Lindy. Thank you. And if anyone's commenting on the socials, I'm going to get back and start looking at those a little bit later. I'm not that techie that I can do those 2 things at once, but I'm really, really pleased, because I've tried to keep it nice and gentle, really informative, really quick and easy. And yeah, the feedback's been brilliant so far, so I'm really pleased with that. But what we're going to do now leads me beautifully in, and ironically, you ladies that are on the screen already know about this because you've done it with me before, but I've never done a live version that is kind of sharing and offering this tool publicly. So I'm really interested in getting some feedback, and I'm putting it out there on the social share for this. So this whole, hello Lucy, this whole workshop is going to be live on Freshers Week. So the whole power hour is going to be available for people to go back over and hit pause and just get access to this amazing tool. But also we've got Facebook, so it's something that's not been shared publicly. You've only been able to access it with me if you've been doing one-to-one coaching, or if you've been doing a workshop. So I'm going to show you, and it'd be interesting for you guys who I know have already understand what we're doing with Mojo School, and you've already been exposed to the concept of territory mapping. I'm going to do a little explanation, but I have a video that's specifically geared towards older teenagers and young adults, so it can be easily adapted. And I would be interested to see if you prefer that version to the one that we have in our main medicine wheel program. So we have a really cool longer version in our main coaching pathway. And this one I thought, well, I'm going to do it a little bit more youth-centered. I'm going to use different language. I'm going to make it a bit snappier, a bit quicker. And I think I prefer this version. Not that the other one's long. It's, you know, it's still quite a short video, but I'd be interested to see what you guys think. So I'm going to share with you the intro video in a second, if I can keep managing my screen shares. But for those of you out there who have no idea what I'm talking about, this particular tool that we're going to do tonight is called territory mapping. And out of all, I think we counted about 500 different tools that I've built and developed over the years that are all inside the digital walls of Mojo School. And this hat is my number one. I've just been asked to go and do a big talk next month and a workshop, and I'm going to be using that. I have done it in so many different spaces now. Whenever I'm asked to do a live workshop or a digital workshop or a keynote speech, if there's any kind of interactive ability within that, I will get this tool in there somewhere because it's so powerful, so profound, and it has immediate results and immediate change. And my good friend Anthony, who will probably get a copy of this at some point because we share everything. Some of you met him last month. Anthony Willoughby is the guy that developed territory mapping, and now we're kind of partnering up to push it forward and to get it into all kinds of different spaces, particularly schools. I personally use it as a self-development tool myself. I'll do it at least twice a year, if not quarterly. I've done it with my kids several times, and I can tell you as a parent, it is like magic to be able to have the conversations that you normally can't have, or to be able to get some real truth and authentic discussion without all the defensiveness, and to broach some difficult topics, or even find out things that you don't realize that your kids are experiencing, because it all comes out through territory maps. I've used it with businesses, with entrepreneurs and independent businesses, sole traders, to try and help start their businesses and then map out their businesses and then pivot and change what they're doing with their businesses. It can be used anywhere. I know Anthony's used it with high net worth individuals and corporate spaces as a tool for team building and change, and kind of all the thoughts that go with that. I've used it from boardroom to classroom. I've used it in a tent with the homeless community. It transcends language. It's if someone's illiterate, for example, I've done it with someone who can't read or write. So if you're thinking about working with young people who have dyslexia or having challenges with literacy in school, it's levels the playing field. It's a game changer. It's really cool. So if you don't have a pen and paper with you, I highly suggest you go and nab one, even if I've done it with people on the back of a napkin. So it doesn't have to be a fancy piece of paper or a fancy pen, something that you can just scribble things down with. You can always do it on your phone if you want to do it on your notes page. There's a digital version in our courses. We suggest people go out and get scribbly because it's really good for you and make some marks on paper. But if you prefer using your thumbs, we've got a version that's digital, so you could just write some notes down. So while this little short, tiny little next gen version of the video is playing, grab yourself a pen and paper if you want to do that. And then we're going to spend a few minutes just going through, and you're just going to draw 4 things on a piece of paper. Dead easy. You don't need to be able to draw. It's not an art exam. You just need to be able to put pen to paper. And there's 4 elements, and 4 elements that will be the catalyst for something different in your life. And it's something that you can then pass on. If you're a young person and you get to do this at home, you can use that to start to process and work through some things that are stuck. If you are a parent, or if you're an educator, you can take this tool straight away into any of your spaces and you can use it because it's amazing. It's wonderful. So let me get to the right video, and this will give you a little overview of what you're going to be doing. And then I'm going to share a PDF. We're going to spend 5 minutes on each, and I'll share the PDF so I can keep it on screen while you're doing it. Once again, let me get the right video. Dun, dun, dun. Share with sound. Yes. Okay, let's see how this one goes.
Ever feel like life's a bit of a maze that you can't seem to get out of? There's school, friends, family, hobbies, stress, dreams, other people's expectations. It can get kind of wild, right? That's where your territory map comes in. It's like your own personal game map, except you get to decide what goes where. On your territory map, you can Spot your swamps, the stuff that feels tough and the places you feel stuck. See your mountains, your aspirations, dreams, and bucket list goals. Notice your rivers, what you need in order to go with the flow, and how your emotional current is looking. And find your campfires, the people, places, or things that help you feel safe. You can even expand on our 4 basic icons and add in some mammoths, the really big things in your life right now. Maybe a tool shed to keep all the tools and helpful strategies you collect on your Mojo journey. And even mark out the forests, stuff you're still figuring out, and the seeds you're sowing. You can use words, doodles, emojis, whatever feels right for you. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Just a snapshot of your world right now. We love to do ours with pen and paper, but we've also created a digital prompts version so you can type away and create one like a journal entry. Ready to see your world in a whole new way? Let's start mapping it out. Remember, this is your journey. You're the explorer.
Yay! Is right. You are the explorer. And that's the whole point in thinking differently about what it's like to be a young person and what it's like to be learning and growing in 2025 and how we're raising our children and what we're doing in the classroom is to understand that we need a more coaching approach, a more youth work approach where we are helping to support our younger people. We're building in safety. We're building in emotional and psychological safety in order for people to explore. It's meeting people where they're at. It's using a strengths-based approach and building in lots of positive psychology tools without that toxic positivity, understanding challenges, building resilience, navigating life's flow and all that kind of stuff. And that for me, if people learn nothing else, that is what we should be teaching because the world's moving so fast. Skills will come and go and people will learn different things as they start to expand and as they start to learn how they best learn. As long as they have the resilience and as long as they have the confidence and as long as they feel empowered and are supported, anything can happen. And I did a keynote last year and I just was in one of them naughty moods. I didn't even have my red hair at the time, but I was feeling a bit cheeky. And I'd been told I could go full on, like, fine. So I wasn't really censoring myself. And Big Nigel, if you're watching this, Nigel, I think I ruffled a few feathers. And the lovely Mr. Nigel Nicholson was in the room. He's a professor. He's so cool. And I said, I don't care. I was just like, I don't give a shit. I don't care about attainment. And then I got a little bit of kickback on that. I said lots more things, but I was trying to prove a point. I was trying to be inflammatory, really. So, well, you have to care about attainment. And we had a bit of a discussion. And then I kind of went back afterwards and I said, no, I don't care about attainment. It's not my priority. If we build this holistic framework and if we look after somebody's emotional and psychological safety, if we build in all this resilience and this thirst for knowledge, and if we empower people and meet them where they're at, and we do all this stuff, all the fluffy stuff. And I'd written a paper a few years previously called Fluffy Stuff First. You know, again, it was all part of this challenge that I'm still doing now, 10 years later. If we do this, if we build this, if we prioritize teaching these kind of things, attainment happens naturally. We don't have to force people to take standardized tests so that we can tick boxes. And, you know, they're just tests of memory, just tests of memory. How much can I memorize under pressure? And they're tests of how much emotional stunting we can have. How many badges do we get for being able to deny our emotional needs and not buckle under pressure and keep a stiff upper lip and mask our emotions? They are the badges at the moment of attainment. How much can we memorize and spit out in a test? And how much can we mask our emotions and not be authentic? And for me, I don't want to live in a society or raise my kids or my imminent grandchild in a society that prioritizes that and rewards that. I think it's bullshit. And I don't care if I did a swear because we're not in school. So You see why I'm so passionate about this? We have to change things. We just have to. It's got to change. Everything's on fire. Everybody knows it is, but they're just hanging on by the fingernails. Like, no, it's just forced people to do what we've always done because it's always worked. But it hasn't. It might have done for a time, but it certainly hasn't for a long time. And it's certainly not going to work if you keep pushing it because it's getting worse. And we have so much evidence and data to back that up. It's definitely time to stop beating about the bush and trying to, pretend that it's not happening, because it is. And we've all got a duty to make sure we protect our future generations. So that's why I'm so passionate, if you hadn't noticed. So this is what we're going to do now. We're going to spend a little bit of time just doing a territory map. And I highly suggest, even though you guys have done them before, do one again. I'm due to do one actually. And boy, has my landscape changed massively. So I really need to kind of do mine and compare. And if you're watching the replay, do it, pause, take as much time as you want. It's not even live at that point. We're only going to spend 5 minutes on each, if that. But you can pause and do it to your heart's content if you're watching the replay. And if you're on Facebook, if you're catching the live, just do it. Just try it and just see. And I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to send me a script, DM me. Slide into my DMs with a screenshot of your map. Let me know how you got on, because it really can, if it's used the right way as a tool, can really change some lives. So first thing you're going to do is you are going to, on your piece of paper, wherever you want to, there's no test, there's no right or wrong. This is your adventure. You're going to draw a swamp, however that looks to you, your representation of a swamp. And I'm going to share the PDF that we have inside our toolkit, and I'm going to try and get to the right page for you for a few minutes so that you can have some ideas and a reference, but it can look however it wants. Make it swampy, sticky, all the challenges that you've got going on at the moment. Throw everything in, everything that's making you feel uncomfortable, anything that, scan your body, find out what's feeling uncomfortable. What is that? Why do I feel restriction there? What is that? Oh yeah, it's because I've had to do this today, or this has happened to me. Put it all in the swamp so you can start to assess how your swamp is looking. And then we're going to move on to something else in a sec. So I'm going to give us a few minutes. It gives me a chance to check the chat and have a look at comments, but I'm going to try my bestest to share the PDF while I'm doing that. Oh, I think I might just get this right, Shouldn't have said that. Really shouldn't have said that. Okay. Can you see? Yeah. Oh gosh, no red pen for me today. I'm getting top marks here. So I'm going to let you have that for a few minutes. I'm going to put it on full screen. And here, there's just some examples. Some examples of what it might look like if it's a bit swampy. Some people put people's names in there. It's fine if you need to do that. Don't share it publicly, obviously, because you could cause a bit of a ruckus. It can be, some people put people, the word people, because people really, really challenge them and they just don't like being around people. I've had somebody that's put chicken nuggets in there, or tomato ketchup, which seems hilarious, but if that's if that's a challenge or a phobia or something that's really bothering you or a sensory issue, put it in there. There is no right or wrong and there's no judgment. Anything that's cropping up for you right now that's sticky and that's swampy. I'm going to have a little check. See if anybody's online now. And one thing that I would suggest. Thank you. Hello, Ellie. Hello, Anne. Thank you for joining. I know you are there. Oh, no, I'm playing my voice to myself. That's horrible. I don't like that. Oh, cool. Everybody's watching along. Thank you. Don't forget as well, if you are watching live, you can tag people in. Let's just annoy people. It's great. Annoy people with love. Tag them in, share away, say, oh, Jane's chatting shit online again. Go and have a look. See if we can get some more interaction. But while you're at it, get swampy. What's your swamp looking like right now? If you've done this before, do it again, because I guarantee it will have changed. Something else will be in there, or something will have been removed and you'll be quite surprised. My first map and my last map are worlds apart, and I always use them as examples. Really interesting. And the language that we use within territory mapping is really interesting and is really useful, just as a bit of an FYI. If you are going to use this, if you're a young person watching and you're going to use this, or you're going to do one, and I'm going to show you an example that I've had consent to show of how it can be used as a really, really brilliant tool. You can share it with a healthcare provider, with a social worker, with a parent, with a teacher, with someone you trust, because sometimes the words are really tough to get out, but you can use this to be able to show that something's going on for you. I've had that happen to me lots of times, and we've been able to do things to help people once we know what's going on for them, right? If you are a parent, or if you're a teacher or an educator, you can use language. I do this now. My kids are old now. Sorry, kids, if you're watching. They're aged between 18 and 26. But we can use that language still because they've all done maps. So we can use the go and do a swamp, get a piece of paper and draw your swamp out, do a new swamp, or what's in your swamp today, or you're feeling a bit swampy today. It's much better language that's easier to take than challenging someone, and people getting defensive or feeling like they can't talk about things. You can use that. It's a bit like using the weather barometer, like sometimes you would do with little kids. You know, what's the weather like today? We use the language of swamps, rivers, mountains, campfires. So, how's your swamp looking? Cool. So I'm going to move this along a little bit so that we can move on to the next one while I'm keeping my eye firmly on the time. If you need to pause at any point, you can pause if you're watching the replay back, or if you, I don't know whether you can pause a lot. You can, can't you, on socials? You can just pause it if you want to finish off. Unfortunately for you, Angela and Linda, you can't because I'm moving things along. So I'm going to move next on to your mountains. So I've changed over the years the order I do this in. It doesn't really make a difference, but I found that people respond much better and it's much easier if we go from one extreme to the other first and then fill in the gaps. So swamps first, because a lot of the time Anthony and I had a really good conversation, because in corporate spaces and in business strategy, we never start with a swamp. It's always the challenges, the goals, what we're doing, and then we have to wind it back to, well, what could be in the way, and let's mitigate that and do some due diligence. Every one of the people I've ever worked with and every one of the situations and the spaces I've ever worked in, school, bear in mind, reaching the unreachable, teaching the unteachable, trauma spaces, real life, real people, experiencing stuff. I've never been able to start that way. I've always had to start with a swamp. And the reason for that is, is basic psychology. People's brains are so fizzy and so full of stuff and struggle that they can't even see anything else until they've done that kind of trauma dump on paper. And it's a brilliant tool. It's a therapeutic, creative tool anyway that we use to get something out of your head and write it down or make marks about it, use colour, something to represent it on paper. It's based on an old Buddhist technique called catch and release, where you'll catch the thoughts and somehow get it out. So even just doing that, writing it down is massive. So I always start with that, with the swamps, because then people have a bit more bandwidth. They freed up a little bit of space. They can see it on paper. And sometimes it's just, that just helps just on its own. And sometimes things actually don't feel as massive or so many when you actually put them down. You're like, oh, it felt like a lot more when it was in my head, or a lot bigger. So it does help. So if we start with the swamps, then it clears up a bit of space for us to be able to think a bit differently. So this bit now is going to be your mountains. You can pick anywhere on the page at all, your mountains. And these are your big goals. If you can get to the headspace where you can think about your big goals. We have a lot of work inside Mojo School to support people with actually being able to even conceive that they are worthy, good enough, intelligent enough, smart enough, creative enough, deserving enough to even think about a goal. So if you struggle with that, don't worry. We have got loads of tools and resources to get you to that point. But if you do have that on your radar, that little part of you inside that thinks, oh, I've always wished that I could do this, but obviously I can't because people have told me I couldn't. That little, just those bucket list things. If you've always wanted to do something, maybe you've always wanted to learn a language, but you were told you were too stupid in school. Or maybe you'd love to climb a mountain or run a triathlon or do something like that, but you're not very sporty and you feel like you're overweight, you're unfit, so you put it out of your mind. Anything like that, all those things. It could be travel. You've always wanted to travel and see a particular country, or see some countries you don't even know where. Maybe it's a career decision or something that you've always wanted to do, but you've kept to yourself because you don't think people would understand, or you wouldn't be accepted, or you'll be judged. Maybe you want to get your degree and graduate at some point. Maybe you can think of that, of nothing worse than that, and you just want to travel. Maybe it's a relationship goal. Anything like that. It could be financial. It could be bottom line in the bank. I want a career that pays me this amount per year. Get it on there. Anything you can think of, that's your mountains. This is what we're aiming towards. It's all about the climb. Again, using the language of mountains and supporting people to think, well, what's your next step? You can't leap onto the summit of a mountain. You have to have a plan. You have to have support, you have to have the right equipment, you have to take it step by step. So you can start to use that kind of language and those kind of metaphors to help people move step by step towards those things that they thought were unachievable. So that's your mountains. This is where, if you're thinking about teaching and using this in an education space, you will do lots of different things. You do aspirations, you might have a fixed piece of paper that you give out, or something that you would use as a toolkit to be like, right, what are you going to do? What you take for your options, or what do you want to do at college, or anything like that. It's a really good way to do it because it makes it a little bit more creative, a bit more interactive, and for some reason it's something about these metaphors that we've been looking at working with the neuroscientist, and Anti's been looking at working in different spaces, different research. I think he's in Japan or Dubai at the moment doing this with like thousands of people in different schools. He just takes it all over the world. But we're trying to work out what it is about this tool, this framework, and we think it's this base instinct that is universal around the metaphors of territory, the metaphors of the natural environment that just lights something up in us and makes us think differently than just having a checklist or just having a career aspiration school version of this. It doesn't quite hit the mark, whether it's a judgment thing or a PDA thing. I'm not doing that because you told me. I don't want to do it. This seems to change all of that. It gives that reference to something bigger than ourselves and something that's like instinctive. Okay, so going to move along to metaphor number 3, which is going to be our rivers. And this is a great way to connect the two together. You don't have to. I've had people that have used a metaphor of the sea because they don't want to do a river. Anything that relates to water, however you want to do it and wherever you want it on the page. My best analogy to give you is a river that connects. This is how I usually use it. I didn't on my last one, actually. But connecting the two from your swamp. How does your river look? How does it connect to your mountains? And what's the flow? What's the current? What's the movement? So we're going to start thinking about tools and ways that you can get out. Welcome, whoever's coming in. That you can get out of that swamp and you can start to move and flow and find your way towards the mountain. We're not even talking about hitting the mountain yet. We're talking about just getting there. And you can think about things such as your emotional current. So if it makes sense to you and you feel it, what's your emotional current like? What are you feeling about all these topics now? What are your emotions doing? Because that's a really good metaphor to use, water, when it comes to emotions. You can think about it as direction of movement practically. So you can think about, what do you need to learn? Do you need certain courses to take? Do you need to learn certain skills? Or do you need to prioritize your fitness or your nutrition or your self-care or your burnout? Do you need to save some money? Do you need to meet new people that will open doors? So just contemplate and think about what that means to you when you think about your personal river on your map. What's your river looking like? Is it shark infested? One of mine was once. Is there a boat on there? Do you have a boat? Do you have a raft? Do you have a dinghy with holes in it? Do you have nothing at all? Can you not swim? Is there a bridge that maybe you could look at getting across? Think about all of these things that you can build into that map. If you don't have a bridge, do you know somebody that's got some tools and knows how to build bridges that you could bring in and help you build a bridge? Have you got a mate who's got like really good armbands or a canoe or something? Just start to think a little bit differently how you can start to navigate that space and start to create some movement. I've seen people do like mega bridges. I've seen people who have different like whirlpools in specific areas. Some of it's calm, some of it's dead choppy. I've seen all kinds of things going on in there. It's brilliant. When you're doing that, I'm just going to have a little look in the chat. Beautiful. Ah, Lindy, move to chat, move close to me, and then I can annoy you even more. Yeah, garden. Beautiful. You're on the road to all of those things, mate. You are absolutely on the road to it all, aren't you? Hey, Ellie! Woohoo! Welcome, welcome. Ah, beautiful. Yeah. Stop isolating. Yeah, can relate to all those things, mate. And you're already doing it. Sometimes you don't feel like it. And sometimes when you start to plot it out on your map, you're actually like, oh, okay, I've neglected that and I've not even looked at it. And I actually know I should be doing that. And now it's on paper. I'm like, obviously, I need to work on it. Sometimes you'll put things down and then you can tick them off and think, hang on a minute, I've already started this. Or I know how to do this. And it helps you just get a little bit of perspective and really kind of get to grips with how your life landscape looks. Beautiful. Yeah, my swamp's literally the same as yours. We've got a same swamp. Oh, look at me, didn't turn my notifications off. That's going to be annoying on the playback, isn't it? Angela, you won on the being prepared and doing well at the tech thing, I think. Right, I'm going to move us now. I'm just going to move us away from our rivers, but you can always come back to that now you know what that looks like. And I'm going to move you to one of my favorite pieces of the territory map, and this is your campfire. And for me, your campfire is the difference between being able to get out of that swamp and staying stuck in that swamp. Not always, but usually for me, that is, I have to have a good solid campfire. And you can think of that as specific people who sits around your campfire. That's what it was designed as originally. And if you think about in business strategy, it would be who needs to sit around this campfire. We need so and so from that department, so and so, and that's how you build it out. Who's around your campfire to get to this mountain? But in terms of personal development and how I use it, it is who or what sits around your campfire. So you can think about different resources. You know, it could be specific people. It could be a teacher. It could be a parent. It could be a sibling. It could be one of your kids. It could be your pets. It could be a coach or a mentor or a therapist, social worker, trusted mate, your bestie, or several besties. And you can name them if you want to name people specifically. You can name groups of people, such as friends, family. And you can put things like your pets, your fur babies. What helps you? What are your tools, your resources, people that make you feel better, things that help you? It could be maybe you do a lot of art or you love music and it helps you purge and process things and you can't imagine life without it. That's around your campfire. That's part of your toolkit. It could be a certain hobby that gives you a social group and a bit of an escape a couple of times a week. That goes around your campfire. And I've experienced so many people that have come to this bit and really struggled. And do you know what's interesting? I've had people struggle that I didn't expect to struggle doing a territory map from all different walks of life. And I've had lots of leaders really struggle with this. And that makes me feel really sad, but it also makes me twitchy because we have to do this self-development work if we're going to lead or we're going to support or we're going to do anything else. And if we find it really, really difficult, it's usually because there's some stuff that's just waiting to be worked through. So I think this bit, sometimes I've had people that have, for example, a guy that had just come out of prison who was on a homeless outreach project we were working on. And we did it all together with people from all different backgrounds. It was in a social space that I was working in. He came in to get a cup of tea. So do you want to join in? And it was brilliant. It was a great session. We had great outcomes. But at the time, I was trying to navigate how to help everybody, you know, of different walks of life, do this thing. And he didn't have, it was just swamp. It was just swamp. There was nothing but swamp. And a literal swamp. Like, I'm living in a tent. I ain't got anything else. No one around the campfire. Couldn't even articulate any, well, there is nobody. I'm completely on my own. I thought, wow, it's the first time I've come across this, not being able to find anyone or anything. But through some conversations, you can start to use again the metaphors and the language of, well, what are your skills? And he's like, well, I'm really good at making fires. I'm good at dead resilient, and I can put a tent up. So I'm like, right, is there anybody else in the room then that we can kind of match those skills with? If you can build a fire, that person might need that. Can you help this person to do this? And we looked at collaboration and co-production and how can we use this strengths-based approach? Like, you're really good at this. If you can offer your skill there, then maybe somebody else can come around your campfire and offer a skill there. And that, you know, we kind of work through some ideas and some concepts of how to move that forward. But it's always a great place to start. Sometimes people have this campfire that's quite sparse. They're like, I just don't trust anybody. I don't really have people around me that I feel comfortable with. I've never felt safe. Maybe I've got my books, but that's it. I'm like, cool, put your books down. Brilliant. What kind of books? And then we'll round that out a little bit. And then maybe we end up putting more things as we go and adding more things around the campfire once trust's built and rapport, and once a couple more tools come in, or maybe we'll signpost to a service or a person and they end up around the campfire. And we use that language, the language of what do you need around your campfire. It's easier than talking about some difficult things. You know, you're having a really swampy day, right? Who's around your campfire then, or what do you need? What do you need around your campfire? And we can start to use that language to kind of put things into place. So it's brilliant, really, really, really good, really impactful, really powerful. And it makes such a difference, such a difference. And I've used it so many times over the years, and it never ceases to amaze me because it's always had, some kind of impact. Even if people struggle the first time or they're not too sure, eventually we come back around and it's like, oh, actually, it's time. I need to do that now. My kids have done them several times now. Some of them love it. Some of them are like, oh no, got to feel some feelings. I'm like, yeah, man, it's the best way to do it. Just stick it on paper. And then sometimes they'll do it and then give it to me and go, I don't want to see it again. But that's fine. That's great because it means they trust me to be able to help manage some of those stuff. Sometimes it's like, no, you're not looking at it. It's mine. I'm putting it on my wall. Cool. It's fine. It's all gravy. It doesn't matter. Whatever you need. So yeah, so that is a little sneak preview of some of the things that you can find inside, regardless, all over. Oh, Nate, why is Note Taker coming in like 5 minutes before the end? My times are going nuts. It keeps thinking it's an hour ahead. It's just so inconvenient. Like, technology, can you catch up, please? You're too late. That's how fast I am. You're an hour too late. So you're not coming in, no. So yeah, this kind of tool, I'll use it whenever we do anything. I always start off, even in physical settings, where you all get to do a map. And in all of the programs we've got, the first thing is this assessment tool because it's a great place to work from. There we can start identifying stuff and pulling things out and going, right, how do we get from there to there? How can we get rid of that? Because that doesn't even need to be in your swamp. It's just left over. So let's get rid of that. How do we kind of move that bit forward? And then you reassess and you've got another map. So Angie, I think you've done a couple now and you can look back and go, what is that? Like I didn't even realize the movement and the difference and the changes. And you can have this nice little flip book of all your swamps that you've had to navigate over the years. So yeah, so I'm going to stop screen sharing that now, and you can obviously feel free to chill and keep going over it and have a little process of all the things that you've seen. And you can give me comments and you can jump on the socials and let me know what you thought about that. The point of tonight is there's a version of it on the Next Gen space, and even if that's the only thing that gets shared, that is a really powerful tool. But the other stuff on there, the consent and boundaries and harm reduction and tools and techniques, our young people don't have this. They don't have access to it, and they certainly aren't being taught any of this in school. In fact, the opposite. They're being taught to repress this stuff and distract from this stuff. And we don't really care about that stuff, even though it's on the new curriculum. We just need you to attain these, we need to get you through these tests. And that's changing. There is movement there, but not quick enough for the amount of kind of harm that's being done. So my big mission is to try and make whatever change I can with that. And it's all been throwing all these tools together and trying to share it with as many people as possible. It's scary, you're right. Really scary. So to finish it off, and I'm just going to check my professional piece of paper that even I can't read to make sure I've got everything. Yes. So I am going to run over slightly. So Angela, you won, but that's fine. It's no competition. We don't compete in this space, do we? But I've got two more videos that I really want to share with you. They're a couple of minutes each. One is on consent. It's the consent and boundaries video that's in the Next Gen Reset. I want to show you how that looks. So if you're a young person out there, hopefully it'll help you. And if you're supporting a young person, it'll give you an idea of the content that you can use as a parent or as a teacher, if it's difficult to talk about these things. So I'm going to share the boundaries and consent vid, and then the last one is like a little reel navigating today's world video, and then I'm going to give you a code and I'm going to tell you how you can get hold of all this stuff. So thank you, Lindy Bird. I will send you a message, but thank you. You know me, I'm never going to stick to time, am I really? But hey ho, not far off, to be fair. I'm not that far off now, but I will send you a message. Thank you for joining. Love you. Right, let's have a look at boundaries and consent in this context. Can she get it right for a third time? Yes, she can. Ooh. Okay.
Ever feel like people ask too much, get too close, or just don't get it when you need space? That's where boundaries come in. They're like invisible lines that help you protect your energy, your feelings, and your time. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're about letting the right people in and keeping yourself safe and comfortable. And here's a biggie. Boundaries are all about consent. Consent means that you get to decide what happens to you, your body, your stuff, and your time. It's about saying yes when you mean it, and knowing it's always okay to say no, for any reason, at any time. Whether it's a hug, a secret, or just wanting to be left alone, your choice matters. Here are some examples. Saying no to a hug. Deciding not to share something personal. Turning off your phone. And asking for space. Setting boundaries and understanding consent can feel awkward at first, but it's actually a superpower. It helps you feel more confident, less stressed, and way more in control. Remember, everyone's boundaries are different, and that's okay. You're allowed to change your mind, and you never have to explain your no. Later in this course, we'll dig even deeper into what matters most to you, your personal values, your passions, and how to stand up for yourself in all kinds of situations. But for now, let's practice. Check out our boundaries worksheet and try drawing your own lines. Your feelings matter, your choices matter, and your boundaries are worth protecting.
Okay, so that is a little bit of a taster of what it's like on the inside and the kind of things that our young people can get access to, or our teachers if you're looking at teaching. Last video is a little quickie. It's like a reel, it's 90 seconds, and then I'm going to leave you with some little final thoughts like Jerry Springer. Hang on a minute. Janie's final thoughts coming up. Right. Okay, here it is.
Let's get real. The world right now can feel pretty overwhelming. There's so much happening, from climate change and tech overload to questions about identity, equality, relationships, and mental health. Sometimes it feels like you're expected to have all the answers, or to pick a side before you even know what to think. But here's the thing, it's okay if you're still figuring it out. You don't have to have everything sorted. What matters is giving yourself the space to process your thoughts and feelings and to find your own voice. Whether you want to shout it from the rooftops, share it with a friend, or just keep it for yourself. This is your safe space to explore the issues that matter to you, to vent, to imagine solutions, or just to get things off your chest. And if you want, you can even share your story or opinion in our Wicked Issues magazine, helping others see they're not alone in navigating today's world. So, are you ready to process, vent, and maybe even inspire someone else? Let's dive in. Your voice matters. Your story counts.
There you go. There's my last screen share. And that's kind of, the whole vibe, the important stuff that we should be learning right now. We should be teaching our kids, but we've not had the skills or the tools to do that. So how on earth are we going to do it for our kids? So you can see why I'm so passionate about this, right? I don't know if you've noticed, but that's kind of, it's kind of my thing. So I'm going to just quickly tell you, and I'm just going to try and see if I can just manage not to mess up for a little bit longer. I'm going to try and put on the comments while we're live how people can get involved. So you beautiful people who are on this call already know, because you're already in Freshers Week and you're already on the Medicine Wheel pathway. So I don't need to share it in the chat on Zoom because you're already there. But I have got something special for you guys as well. So I'm going to just put, if I can get rid of the million chats that I've got coming in, because I can't see where I'm going. Here we go. Right, let me find myself live. Come on. I'm going to put the link to Freshers Week. So that's the first thing I want to do is, there we go, I found myself. The link to Freshers Week that you guys are already on, and this is the most important thing for this week. It's running right the way through until Sunday. So there's space on there that you can just catch up on everything we've done so far. And it has been great, if I do say so myself. It's free. It's always going to be free. And if you ever jump in at any point, this is the place we'll send you to just to get a feel for things. You get to do loads of cool challenges, lots of fun stuff. We'll give you a little tour so you learn how to use the app, how to download the app, how to use the desktop version. I've just put it in there in the live Facebook feed now. So that's Mojo Freshers Week. If you're not on it, jump on it. It's free, literally free. And some brilliant people on that are all supporting each other, and it's really lovely to see it growing and blossoming. So I'm really grateful for you guys as well for your engagement and for jumping on there. So the next thing I would like to share is I would like to share the link to the Next Gen Reset course, the bits that I've been showing you at the moment, particularly for this age group. So if out there you are interested and you liked what you saw and you would like you or your young person to be able to access this, then I'm putting the link to that into the live Facebook feed now. Now, here's the good bit though. It's been discounted down, so it's already been discounted down by quite a lot. At the moment, it's £33.33 instead of 111 quid. However, I've got a discount code that I'm going to put in the, I've got to remember what the discount code was now because I wrote it somewhere else. Let me just find my discount code. So if you're going to buy it just as its standalone course, so you'll get on the app and you'll get the free stuff, and then that course will be the thing that you have, because there's loads on there. But if you just want that, then you can just buy it outright, and that's easy peasy. Let me give you the code for that, because then you can get it right now for 25 quid, or just under 25 quid. Not 25, right? I've reminded myself. So the code is Next Gen Launch 25. So if you put that in, if you click the link to the Next Gen Teen Reset and you put that code in at checkout with the capitals where they are, just copy and paste it, Next Gen Launch 25, it'll reduce it down even more. So it'll be just under 25 quid for all that stuff, all those videos, all those tools. And it's like really cool app. However, there's something else. If you are, yes, so Ellie, I'm glad you said that, because that was what I was coming on to. So if you have a subscription, which you do, it's not automatically included, because the subscription that you've got, our main Medicine Wheel Pathway subscription, which I'm also putting in the Facebook chat for you as I'm talking, is our flagship coaching program. So you're already on that, and you're finally able to explore and get to the good stuff. So this link that I'm putting now, it's all about the links, isn't it, is our flagship membership. So Anne, you're already on there. Lucy, you're already on there. Ellie, you're already on there. As part of your subscription, you get every single bit of my coaching. You get 12 different coaching sessions, which you're going to start on very soon after Freshers Week. You get all 18 courses, accredited courses and resources that I'm going to work you around, and it's all packaged up nicely with our campfire spaces and all the good stuff that you've been testing out. But things like Angela's droplets for young kids and parents, the Next Gen course, the educators programs, there's lots more in Mojo School that you wouldn't be able to see as part of your memberships. However, and this is why I put the link in the Facebook chat, if you sign up to be a member for £14.44 a month, 47p a day, which gives you just under £5 worth of content and coaching from me. If you're a subscriber, you will get privately, because I'm not stupid enough to give it out over Facebook, you're going to get a code which gives free access to you or your young person. So they can get it on their phone, and you can put the code in and they'll get free access to it. You can add it to your stuff and put it on your device with the free access code. So because I didn't want it to get any more confusing on the dashboard for people who aren't parents and who have no interest in teens or young adults. So yeah, so I'm going to be in your inbox tomorrow. I'll give you the code and I'll show you how to get on that, so you can have a look at it in all its glory. So yeah, for those of you out there who aren't, why on earth not? Because it's mega. If you're not a subscriber, you're going to have to help me here hit my 10k count, because I've got a target of 10,000 subscribers, and places like Calm and Headspace have got millions, and they cover like one topic that we cover, like breathwork or mindfulness. Not that I'm dissing them, because I've used them for years, but this is my chance, my opportunity to build my program so that I can be my own philanthropist, and the money that I can generate will go straight back into community projects, straight back into our events, straight back into building things for future generations. So sick and tired of scrapping around trying to go for grants and funds and trying to do the Robin Hood thing. So I've created this thing that's worth £5,000 per person. for 47p a day. So the more subscribers that I can get, the more it'll get me closer to that target when I can really do some good stuff and I can become profitable and I can actually, do more of the good stuff. And for each, if you spend a year with me, if you spend a whole year working around this pathway, it's self-paced, but there's a whole program. It's worth 19 grand of social value. So we've measured it against the Wellbe scale, and it's worth, at the moment, it might actually have crept up a bit, but 19,000 on the Wellbe scale. So I feel like I've created something that's massively high value, that's really, really accessible cost-wise, but I need volume. It should be priced massively and people will be paying a fortune. However, I can't get to lots of people then. So I need it to be low cost, big numbers, and you guys can help me with that. So the link's in the Facebook link. We are banging on about it constantly at the moment. Some of the stuff in today's topic are included in this, and Angie, you haven't even seen this yet, but you're going to, because that's my next thing to bring to you. A whole program for educators. So teachers and educators, we're putting together a massive toolkit with lesson plans, with schemes of work, with content from right the way to nursery, right the way up to university. Teacher wellbeing programs, coaching programs, all the speakers that have spoken at our events and the podcasts and all of the data and the evidence and ways that you can put this into your classroom, into your school to create change. So that is on its way. So yeah, what's not to love? We're literally just stopping all the gaps up, aren't we? So yeah, it's going to be good. So thank you very much. I ran 10 minutes over, but that's fine. Usually I run hours over, so I'm quite happy with that. The replay will be available on Freshers Week. So once that's done, I'll pop it up there. Angela, yours is on there from yesterday now. Well, the replay, it's brilliant. 1 hour exactly. I have no idea how you did that, but it was bang over 1 hour. Mine will be up there tomorrow. And if you get a chance to share, once the live's processed on Facebook, give it some shares, see if we can get a little bit more traction. Yeah, and thank you ever so much. I really appreciate all your time and you sticking around and supporting, and hopefully you're going to get the benefit out of it as well. Tomorrow is all about workplace wellbeing. So our Lucy's going to be on live from 10 till 11, and we're going to talk about how all this stuff translates and the specific stuff we've got for corporate workplace wellbeing. If you're allergic to your lanyard and you are completely burnt out in your job, tomorrow is for you. So thanks, guys. Love you all loads, and I will see you on the flip side.